think that I just come in there and look for knockouts, and that's not the case. I'm actually a sharp, smart fighter.
So, well, wait, I'm here. Who wants to fight with me?
I really don't care who's in front of me. I don't feel like no fighter can beat me.
Demolish everybody, to be honest. Everybody that's in my way. The pinnacle to any weight division is to have all of the belts, all of the titles.
Welcome to Bodywork. Welcome back. It's Michael Rogers. Welcome to Bodywork Boxing. It feels so good to be back. How y'all doing out there on this lovely Sunday evening? And I've been fiending to do some boxing all week. You know, I'm just getting ready to do some things here, and I got to grind. I've been burning the midnight oil and just trying to take care of some things. But I got so much content I got to put out, and it's coming. It's coming. But it's a pleasure to be back, man. Talking this boxing and back on the scene. Like I never left, because I never did. You dig? But I've been seeing and hearing a lot, man, just getting a pulse on everything. And boxing talk is disgusting, man. It really is, man. But I'm not going to complain. What I am going to do is put some fresh water back in it. And shout out to Cookie Monster, Bodywork. Shout out to Cold Key. Salute Bodywork, salute Cold Key, salute Cookie Monster. Mic check, appreciate that mic check, Cookie Monster. But yeah, I'm gonna go right into the curriculum, and then we're gonna break down some things, because we had a lot of good fights, and I was so surprised at all of the conversation these last couple weeks has just been disgusting. It's been a lot of gaslighting, so I gotta get this curriculum out of the way. This is not just a definition. This is actually a article. So this might help you in your regular life, and we got to get this over with. You know what I'm saying? I know this is for my intellectuals. These are the people that like to be intellectually stimulated. Some people that like to have some things in their rucksack that they can march on with going forward. Some things that can help arm you in these conversations around boxing, man, because nothing really peeves me more than people who want to sit around talking boxing, have no objective but one thing: to knob slob and cock gobble. You know what I'm saying? And they love using, like, they love telling certain fan bases that there's something sexual. You're aerosexual. I heard aerosexualism today. I'm like, y'all. But all they do is bend their knees and open up for anything that Bud, Shakur, Keyshawn, and all them say. This is gaslighting. With no further ado, this is by an article in Grazia by a guy named Anton. 4 gaslighting phrases manipulators use to plant doubt, right? Remember, a lot of the people that are manipulating people online are narcissists. So some narcissism goes along with gaslighting. And salute DSTN3, salute Bodywork, Rocket Red, Countdown, Lift Off. That's what I'm talking about. I appreciate the energy. You know what I'm saying? But I appreciate that. Salute. I'm here. I hadn't talked boxing all week. I did one live earlier, and it's been a lot going on. I wanted to recap some things that happened after last week. I had a lot of content to drop. I still do. I still got to drop it. I still got to get it out. But this is just the curriculum part, man. Just bear with me. You catch this on the playback, okay, cool. But my aim is to always allow these lives to have nutritional value. You're not gonna be sitting around just it's gonna have nutritional value. Put it like that. 4 gaslighting phrases manipulators use to plant doubt. Manipulators have perfected the craft of mental destabilization. Here are 4 phrases they often use to distort your reality. That's what we're always talking about. A lot of these guys are narcissists. You know, if you ever dealt with a narcissist, then you'll know. But these are things that they actually do and say to manipulate their prey each and every day. What can I say? It's one of the most common and most damaging tools in the manipulator's arsenal. Gaslighting, defined as psychological destabilization through distortion of reality, has been named the Merriam-Webster Online American Dictionary's Word of the Year for 2022. And Eureka, how long have I been on this gaslighting thing? It may have been since 2022. I just been pointing it out because people don't realize that they're doing it in the conversations. People are doing it in the workplace. People are doing it in politics. People are doing it everywhere, but it has seeped heavily into the boxing world, in the conversation around boxing, and people do it and they don't even realize they're doing it. Favored by manipulators, the narcissist predators, this emotional manipulation technique is dangerously effective. Understanding gaslighting involving exploring its emotional mechanics and the devastating consequences it can have on relationships, like the people that you like to sit and build with, the people that you like to talk with, the people that you discuss things with as it relates to boxing. Gaslighting functions by making someone feel disoriented, uncertain, and doubtful of what they have seen. It's like when a judge renders certain, decisions in boxing and scorecards after a fight that you just seen. That's an example. Experienced or done. Manipulators use this questioning of reality as a powerful move to weaken their targets. They always get you to question reality, like what's really going on. You have a firm handle on what's really going on, but they do a good job at opening up the door. They tell you have an open mind. Now I'll tell you have an open mind too, but they'll have you have an open mind, or just be considerate of these things, and then they'll present things, they'll position things to have you questioning what really happened. Man, it's very powerful, man. It's very powerful. It appears not only in romantic or friendship settings, but also in professional contexts, politics, and media. Media, that's the biggest one, man. That's the big. Jeffrey Bernstein, professor and author, explains in an article published on Psychology Today how to recognize 4 commonly used gaslighting phrases designed to cause emotional imbalance, and provides effective strategies for counteracting them. Gaslighters, he writes, employ specific expressions. Eurosexualism. Eurosexual. Employ specific expressions to control the narrative and undermine your sense of reality, including in romantic relationships, friendships, or workplaces. Here are 4 of the most frequent gaslighting statements, along with what you can say in response to reclaim your power. So we about arming, and the whole thing is silence is consent. That's the nature of the channel. That's the spirit behind the channel, meaning that they say all it takes for evil to prevail is for grown men and women, might I add, to remain silent. So we got to say something. And if you don't say something, and I was riding by somewhere yesterday in the streets of Baltimore, and I seen it. Somebody spray painted it on something. I was talking to my man AC the other day about graffiti, but I seen it the other day. I was downtown, and I seen somebody put "silence is consent." And I'm like, okay. The word is getting out. You're too sensitive. Among the typically undermining phrases manipulators leverage is the classic "you're too sensitive" or "you're exaggerating." Manipulators use this tactic to dismiss and invalidate a person's emotions, especially when confronted about their own damaging or toxic actions. When you pull somebody card and you tell them how damaging or toxic or some of the things that they say, when you really pull their coattail and you point it out, oh, you're too sensitive. That's what they're going to hit you with. Or you're exaggerating. Oh, here you go, exaggerating. It's gaslighting, y'all. That's gaslighting. When they've said or done something hurtful, they attempt to make the other person believe that their feelings are exaggerated. As a result, they may make the person think they're imagining negativity where there isn't any. To all my critical thinkers, whenever you challenge somebody using a critical thinking mind, not a rote where you memorize and regurgitate and just go along with the program, they always assume that you're being negative. When you challenge the thoughts and ideas or the expressions that they have, they'll try to label you as negative when they in turn have already contrived. You got to think, a lot of people already have places where they want to go in their lives or in the conversation, and they're just waiting to get there, but they already have a negative connotation. They're going to be negative because you know negativity sells now, and they say any publicity is good publicity. So they figure they'll put out a shocking title, they'll come out and they say some things that's very, very controversial or something that you know not to be true. So in the spirit of what they're doing, they're already being negative. But when you challenge them, you're considered the negative. Hope y'all put that in your rucksack. Invalidating someone's emotions and perceptions is deeply dangerous. It leads victims to lose their self-confidence entirely. To protect oneself from these harmful effects, Bernstein advises clearly affirming and protecting your emotional rights. For instance, one might say, I had a right to feel hurt. I got a right to feel offended. Why do you keep fucking referring to somebody like you? I got a right. Please acknowledge and respect my emotions. Bernstein explains this response makes it explicitly clear that your feelings are valid and minimizing them is unacceptable. You can't minimize what I'm saying, dog. That never happened. Similarly, manipulators will quickly attempt to unsettle their targets by outright denying the reality of past events. I didn't say that. Yes, you did. Their motive to rewrite history. That's going on a lot in boxing, especially when you're talking about people's resumes, people's actions at the time and things that they did. They will sweep that under the rug and act like it never happened. Especially if they win in a big fight or have a big outing in a big fight. They think that the things and the actions that these people have done in the past is just under the rug. It don't matter. That never happened. Like, wrong. They are rewriting history. If doubt takes hold of the victim's mind, the manipulator can more easily impose their own version of events, damaging their target's self-esteem and grip on reality. Like, a lot of times, somebody will say something, right, in these boxing conversations, and somebody say, oh man, that never happened. And if you don't have anybody else there to vouch for you to say and confirm that it did, they will have you questioning whether or not it did happen. I just happen to have a lot of videos where in real time, I actually have facts. I have people's voices. I have people's actions. I have articles. I have a lot of things out here to substantiate some of the things I've said about the things that I talk about current day. I'm talking about 2 and 3 years now, 2 and 3 and 4 years now worth of information on wax, where in real time, I was pointing out what was going on in real time. Bernstein recommends standing firm in this scenario by calmly asserting your version of events, even suggesting perhaps that there has been a misunderstanding. Like, hold on, I think you got me fucked up. You know what I'm saying? I think you misconstrued what I was saying, or somehow we got a misunderstanding, right? The aim is confidently presenting your perspective without harboring doubt. Why this works. Instead of falling into a pointless argument, this approach asserts your confidence in your memory while leaving room for healthy conversation, he explained. The next one. You're overthinking this. Invalidating emotions to isolate and destabilize is a common manipulative tactic that causes confusion and emotional harm to the victim. Consequently, this approach can cause immense psychological harm. They constantly try to deflect and trivialize genuine worry rather than addressing concerns sincerely. Man, I gotta say that again. This is a very, very popular. Listen very closely. They do this all the time. Anton was on to something by putting this out here now. Consequently, this approach can cause immense psychological harm. They constantly try to deflect and trivialize genuine worry rather than addressing concerns sincerely. Like a lot of times they addressing shit, but they know they're not being sincere about it. Why? Because it would disrupt their membership in the tribe that they're in, right? They want to be a part of something, want to be a part of a pack, a group. So if they speak out and they speak sincerely, oh man, I thought you was team such and such. What's up with all this truth and stuff that you're speaking about this other guy? I heard it as late as today, man. I heard it earlier today. I was like, wow, this is what's going on in boxing conversations. It is therefore essential to assert your viewpoint and your feelings confidently, trusting your intuition and affirming that thinking deeply and feeling sincerely are valuable assets, allows you to define boundaries. In turn, this helps you shut down manipulation attempts and ultimately exit toxic relationships. Get out of there. Everyone agrees with me. Everyone agrees with me. That's gaslight 101. Manipulators often isolate their victims by insinuating that friends and family are against them. Like, come on, man, you the only one up here trying to say this and trying to say that. You the only one that actually believes that. If you get enough people saying that and you don't have a leg to stand on and you happen to be down at the Blue Oyster, you happen to wander into the Blue Oyster like they did on the Police Academy, and you realize that you at a sausage party, aka a swordfish, where they in there just sword fighting, get out of there. That's what's going to happen. For example, they may say, everyone else agrees. You're overly emotional. Bernstein insists that one should not fall into this tactic. Instead, proactively talk to friends directly and verify their viewpoint personally. Because you'll have people that'll talk to you and tell you stuff on a personal level and express certain things personally, but then get in a pack and abandon that shit. It's crazy. It's crazy. He suggests replying confidently, affirming that your emotions are valid. Additionally, he advises speaking directly to others to confirm their opinion. This type of response prevents you from being drawn into imaginary group opinions. This type of response prevents you from being drawn into imaginary group opinions and focuses the conversation back on your own perspective, advises the expert. Ultimately, by setting clear emotional boundaries and rebuilding your self-confidence and trust in your perspective, you can fend off these four insidious manipulation strategies. As Bernstein concludes, if someone constantly invalidates your emotions, limit your emotional investment in them. Seek an outside perspective. Talk to trusted friends or a therapist to gain clarity on the situation. Wow. wow, man. Salute to Crush the legend. Salute, man. Salute, bro. His twin Bodywork. Salute. Yeah, man. This is one, man. This is what you got. This is by Grazi. If y'all want to look this article up, it's called 4 Gaslighting Phrases Manipulators Use to Plant Doubt. But that's the curriculum, okay? So all my intellectuals, I fed y'all. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty. You did? Let's get down to it, man. There's been a lot of things going on, and we'll start our way with the things that happened most recently here as of last night. That's why I had this thumbnail here. The things that happened last night, and if we get there, we can work our way back to some things that happened last week. You know, because last week, man, I was kind of mad, man. not only did Terrell Goucher get robbed, but man, I lost like I lost the possibility of gaining $300 by that decision they rendered. You know, I think I had like a 5 parlay with Goucher winning on decision, man, and that was gone. Then I had a bet on Goucher directly, and my lady was hot. She was like, "I can't believe they did that in broad daylight," and I was like, "Yeah, baby." So that was like $300, man, on one parlay on that decision, and we know that was some BS. It's like, man, if I do have a knock on PBC, I would say, man, something about that judging, man, that was egregious. Okay, so that was last week, but something that happened yesterday. Something that happened yesterday, right? We had Brian Norman Jr., the assassin. He was able to get a title defense under his belt, right? He was able to do that. William Zepeda actually defended his interim title. You know, he's like, I guess you could say lieutenant to Shakur Stevenson, who holds the WBC. So he's the lieutenant with that interim belt. He was able to defend off Tevin Farmer. You know, in a fight that I thought was I thought the fight was done like after the first or second round. I was like, man, Zepeda's about to he was just digging to Tevin Farmer's body, but he had a successful defense against Tevin Farmer, right? A highly contested fight. The first one, I think I kind of slightly gave the edge to Tevin Farmer in the first one, right? But he came back down in Cancun. You know, Tevin Farmer went down to the Lions Den down there in Cancun, and he lasted. He lasted all 12. The last fight was 10 rounds. This fight was 12 rounds, I guess, since Zepeda has that interim now, so he can fight the 12 rounds, which was kind of good for both of them to get those 12 rounds in, but we can get into that. Emiliano El General, he actually came out there and looked super crispy. Super crispy. And remember, it was a long time ago when I started saying, you know, we got to start moving forward and looking at this next generation. I said, we got to start looking at this new crop of fighters and what's going on. And I said, listen, man, it's not going to be somebody that's all concerned about the money. I said that it's going to be somebody that's concerned about the family name. Solidifying the family name in the history books of boxing and making everything be about that. Making history. Letting everything else work itself out. And when I think about that, I think about these Vargas boys. I think about the Vargas boys, right? We seen Amato. He had a rough time, you know, I think it was last week. He had a rough time when I was staying up to like 1 o'clock trying to watch him, trying to finish that when he was just getting the stuffings knocked out of him. He wound up getting this decision, a very controversial, quote unquote, decision. But I think about the Vargas boys. I think about the Mason boys. And I also think about these young twins, man, called the Grandy twins, man. I say that, man, the future is going to be somebody that is concerned with etching their family name in stone. And I'm not saying that Emiliano is all that in a bag of chips. I just say that he looks like he has a extremely high ceiling, and the dude looked crispy. I think he looked crispy. Like, out of all the brothers, like, I kind of like watching him the most. out of all of the brothers. Like, right now at this stage, how he carries himself, his, how, he got it all down. You know what I'm saying? They kept harping on the fact that this guy he's about to be 21, I think, in like 17 days. He's not even 21. He got endorsements. He got the image. You can tell from his physique that he works out. That it's going to be people like that to where they're not going to be concerned about, the money, this and that. No, they are being moved. They're being developed. They are putting on a show. They are reestablishing that Vargas brand, just like Mason and Abdul. I seen an interview with Mason. And even though this is not about him, seen an interview with Mason, and I'm talking about the future and these guys that actually are going to try to cement the family's name in stone. It's going to be bigger than just a bag. It's going to be bigger than just the clout. It's going to be bigger than just having everybody on the internet talk about you. These guys are trying to be in those books with the Herms and the Hagglers and the Foremans, RIP, Big George. They're trying to be in the history books. And I think the way Emiliano was approaching the game, how he carries himself, how he answers the question, every question's like, you can tell that the dude, he stays in the gym, and you can tell that he is dangerously focused, right? We can talk about that. Shu-Shu, Carrington, he was at a crossroads where Shu-Shu, we had believed, we was believing that Shu-Shu was kind of like at a crossroads. We kept trying to figure out why. I see you, Koki, Brian Norman, the real deal. Yes, I believe so, Koki. Let me wrap up on Shu-Shu, and I'm gonna go back to Brian Norman. I'm gonna wrap up on Shu-Shu. We had believed that Shu-Shu was at a crossroads, right? I personally did, and I kept saying, well, why is the Top Rank not? Because they was heavily promoting him, and he was doing sit down with Keyshawn, and he was involved with everything. They had Inouye come out. They had the moment where Inouye came to the fight and left early. You know what I'm saying? They had all this little things that they do to where if a fight ever is initiated, they'll have footage and film and history to go by to kind of fill in some of the gaps as to how we got to fight night, right? They did some of those things with him. So here lately, we was like, well, why don't we quite know these guys? Like, who is he fighting? Why is he not getting a name? When is he gonna get his shot? This and this and that. Shu-Shu Carrington came out last night and did exactly what he was supposed to do. Exactly what he was supposed to do from start to finish. Right? And let me talk about something. In watching that fight, right? Tim Bradley, man. Tim Bradley is a hater, bro. Like, I be trying to give Tim Bradley, I be trying to be like, listen, man, the dude is just, he at his job. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't, like me. Like, I wouldn't want people alongside me when I'm running my business. I wouldn't want somebody alongside me just telling me what to do while I'm running my business. So I really try not to, especially with Tim Bradley being a Hall of Famer. I try not to sit there and just try to poke at him and prod at him and try to criticize him because he's making his money. You know, he's in his profession. This is like his second career because he was a boxer. You know what I'm saying? He put on the gloves and put down the ones and twos. And I highly respect that. But the dude is a hater, man. When I was watching that fight with Shu-Shu, the very first thing Tim Bradley was doing was pointing out everything that he didn't agree with Shu-Shu. He was trying to cast aspersions. He was trying to cast doubt. Look at him. He don't even look like he warmed up. He don't even look like he lathered up. I'm trying to tell you, he gonna get caught by that overhand right. Look, I told you. Look, this, boom. Like, he just kept poking. I'm like, man, listen, I'm sitting up there. I'm talking to my lady. I'm like, man, shut up, Tim. Just call the fight. Just call the fight. You are up there to call the freaking fight, bro. Just call put your flavor on it the way Roy Jones did it. The way one of the best to ever do it. The way Big George would do it. The way Lennox Lewis would do it. Just call what your eyeballs are seeing and say it and add the Tim Bradley flavor. But he came out hating on Shu-Shu, and before you know it, you like, oh, look at him, man, Shu-Shu, man. Listen, and this is what Shu-Shu was like, bing, bop, ping, pra, bop, 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 ping, pow, kung pao chicken. Got my man out of there. And do you realize, go back and watch it, because he got it done early. Go back and watch the fight. I challenge you. This is your homework. I challenge you. Go back, because it's only what? You're only going to risk what? 10 minutes of your life to do this? 10 minutes of your life. Don't take my word for it. Take 10 minutes of your life and go back and watch the fight. And what you're going to hear is every round, the first round, I think it was the second round, the first round, you're going to hear Tim Bradley just criticizing the shit out of Shu-Shu. He was not calling Shu-Shu's landed punches. He was not telling what Shu-Shu was doing accurately and what he was doing. He was just big up in the other dude. He just kept big up in the other dude. And I was like, man, Tim, just call the fight. I want you to go back and listen to when Shu-Shu knocked Buddy out. Go back and listen to what Tim Bradley was saying. The dude was silent as a church mouse. He said nothing. I said, babe, I said, you hear all that hating that Tim Bradley was doing? What is he? Did he go crazy when Shu-Shu knocked him out? He didn't say nothing. I'm telling you, this dude is a hater. He did the same thing to Brian Norman Jr. But I'm proud of Shu-Shu, and this is what I want to say about Shu-Shu. I'm proud of him for what he did, how he did it. You know, he's representing New York, Brownsville. He's representing pretty tough. Now, I did have my thoughts because when I seen him at the weigh-in, I seen how his cheekbones and all that was man. I was like, man, the dude he handled it good. He looked strong in his performance, but I'm like, man, he might be having to move up. But I think that he's in a catch-22 because he's already old enough to where he's not going to grow anymore. That's pretty much going to be his size, right? He might fill out a little bit more. He might fill out just a little bit more, but he's not gonna grow much more. I don't think you got to worry about another growth spurt or nothing like that because of his age. He's probably gonna fill out a little bit more, and I think that he's in a catch-22 to where if he move out, he'll be out of position for where he's at right now, barking up on a tree to get one of these title contenders. Now, I mean, one of these champions, I'm sorry, as a title contender, right? Now, what I like about what he did, he said, he looked right in the camera. He said, let me be very specific. Nick Ball, Stephen Fulton, I want you. I love that. I love that. He did not mince words. He was very clear. He was very deliberate. He's number one across the board. Well, he said he's top 5. And we can look at that, where he's at. But they're not going to update it right away. But, or yeah, you can do your homework and you can look. But he's up there where he can pretty much challenge all of them. And I like the fact that he's challenging Nick Ball. Right? I kind of think Nick Ball kind of got a slight gifty gift when it came down to Ray Ford. It's kind of like pulling hairs, even though I can see why Nick Ball got the edge over Savage. You know what I'm saying? The one who I call Cobra in my boxes to watch. I call Shu-Shu the specialist in my boxes to watch. But I think he got a little gifty gift. But Nick Ball is a tough out. Why? Because of the pressure, the fact that he's willing to get a little dirty. He's willing to rough you up. He's just a solid little dude, man. High activity. He's rough, and if you don't have a precise plan or you allow him to, lather up and, lay into you and get his work off, then he can put you in some compromising positions, you know what I'm saying, and possibly get you out of there or hurt you pretty bad. It didn't look like he was doing that big of a damage to Doheny until Doheny was just like, listen, man, I can't keep getting hit everywhere like this, man. I'm too old for this shit. And he was like, man, fuck it, I'm out. So Nick Ball can do that. But I like the fact that Shu-Shu has a plan. He didn't mince words. He was very specific about who he wanted. He said Nick Ball and Stephen Fulton. Now, giving you the pause. Instead of praising the man for being specific, unlike some fighters, once they fight and they don't say no names, you guess what they said? Why he ain't call out Rafael Espinosa? For one, the fact that Rafael's over there at ESPN, he knows that man, he's a company man too, and he probably already knows the plan for that, and he knows which best way to go. The other thing is, these guys are, I'm telling you, this is not just with Shu-Shu, this is with Keyshawn, this is with Shakur, this is what, if you notice, they are all calling out individuals that are not on their own platform. So it's a good thing that he's in line and he wants those guys. So yes, the fact that he's in line and he's next up, it's almost like the position as Zepeda was in until he got that interim, right? He was in line, and with his ability being in line, ranked number 1 across the board. Number 1 across the board. He was in line to be able to handpick or choose whichever one he wanted to call out and pursue. And you couldn't say nothing if they was on the other side of the street or not because of his position. That's what Shu-Shu is. He's in line to call him out, but he's calling a guy named Nick Ball who has a lot of cachet with him right now. You know, his momentum is up right now. You know, he's must-see TV to a certain extent right now. And he wants that smoke. Stephen Fulton, he shared the ring with Naoya, right? He also came back. He went through his little lull. You know, he had his little moment where, you know, he was a little down on himself and moping around, but he gathered himself. You know, he laced up his boots. He came out there and put a wonderful clinic on, was it the Lover Boy? What's this, what they call him? The Lover Boy. Put on a beautiful clinic, boxing clinic. He did the Steve Nelson thing with the Timbs and the shorts and all that uniform out there on that. And I like the fact that he was specific. I would love to see Espinosa, because I think Espinosa is perhaps the best one. The things that he did with Robisi, you know, he just proven that with his height and his frame and the way he fight, and I think it's almost like how Fundora is with that height and that reach and that range. These guys are actually learning that, okay, look, I'm not gonna give up my height. I'm not gonna give up my reach. Once I get that, I already had the fighting spirit to where I get on the inside and mix it up and not elbow, but uppercut the shit out you and hook off my jab and do all of that. But let me be a little disciplined. Let me make this guy make mistakes. And when he start making mistakes, let me catch his ass coming in. And then when he's in trouble, get on the inside and go to work. I just think that Rafael Espinosa is a tall order for anybody in that division right now. And especially with what he did with Robisi. Because Robisi, contrary to popular belief, Robisi is a monster. You know, we talking about the dude that beat Shakur in the Olympics. Like, we talking about, Robisi is actually a monster, man. You know, it was just a tough, tall task for him to actually fight Rafael Espinosa. But I'm thinking that, you know, if I was a little birdie on the wall, I'm thinking that Shu-Shu already knows the plans for Rafael. Now, if he can get that fight, he wants any of the champions. He said, and then they doubted. They said, man, I don't like the way he just was trying to avoid the best. I'm like, the dude called out Nick Ball and Stephen Fulton. What else do you want? When they said, oh, well, why not Rafael Espinosa? He said, man, I've been calling his name. I'll chop down that tree. He said, he's like, I already know. And he was already in his Zen state right then because he was just rolling and flowing and whatever and very charismatic, right? But he did what he needed to do. He did what he needed to do. He definitely made the naysayers have to take a step back or it's a speed bump because the only thing they could default to was why he ain't calling on Rafael Espinosa. I'm trying to tell you, man, the conversation around boxing lately is shitty. You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking forward to him and Nick Ball or him and Stephen Fulton. I would love to see him and Stephen Fulton. I would love to see him and Stephen Fulton. For real. But I would like to see somebody get at Nick Ball. I would like to see somebody get at Nick Ball. Am I saying that Bruce is flawless? No, I'm not. But I am saying that he's right now, he needs a shot at a title. He's shown that he can do what he's shown what he can do when the big bright lights is on and everybody looking for him to make a statement. Because please believe, I have the thoughts that the way Tim Bradley was talking up until he got rid of my man was that they was gonna start trying to turn the door on Shu-Shu. That's just in my heart of hearts. But do your homework. 10 minutes of your time, go back and listen to how Tim Bradley called that fight up until the stoppage. Now, moving over to Brian Norman Jr., the assassin. The dude give me young Earl Spence vibes, man. Not as far as the skill level and, you know, how they fight and all that, but just how he go by, you know, the young country boy. He from Decatur. Atlanta was my second home for years. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, my bro, he been texting me all day about fights and things like that. He texted me last night and was like, hey, what's going on he was asking me about boxing, what I was doing, you know, and I told him, I said, man, it's a young man, 24 years old. He from Decatur. He was like, oh, he good. I was like, hey, man, yeah. I was like, he good, man. But he give me Earl Spence kind of vibes, like kind of like throwback fighter. I don't really think the man is ducking and dodging nobody, man. I believe that we are in a time right now where everybody is, I told y'all how everybody is foreign and everybody is name brand conscious. They're not associating Brian Norman as like a name brand type fighter. But what he is he's actually establishing himself. And if I were to tell you that if I told you that somebody was 24-0 with 20 knockouts in the welterweight division, like that would kind of pique somebody's interest, right? So now he's 25-0 with 21 knockouts. He already got his title by literally like breaking a dude, like literally like breaking him down, going into his backyard and breaking him down. Going into his backyard, a Hispanic fighter, and going into his backyard and literally like breaking his, I think he broke his nose, busting him up, withering him away, and just destroyed him to get the title. So he fought somebody. He fought somebody for it to get it. Had to take some time off. He keeps getting thrown in this conversation, right? And I'm going to tell you, this is the biggest gaslighting piece when it comes to Brian Norman and why people are on this name brand shit. Everybody's still trying to jockey for position to try to get onto the Boots train, right? Now, when it comes down to Boots, let me go to this. Where is it at? This is what I call that. This is what I've been calling it. This is D block. It's no longer the glamour division. I said this a long time ago. I said this is D block. This is not the glamour division no more. Right? It's not. Right? When Spence and Bud, after that whole thing happened or whatever, it was no longer the glamour division after that. It's called D block. The thing is this. What I believe is Boots, I think Boots is getting ready, if he wins against Stanionis, and because he started talking about the ring belt, then he'll be unified, and he fought somebody, I think he's getting out the way. That's just my thoughts. But this is D block. It's not the glamour division. It's not the glamour division. But what people are doing is they on this quest to try to latch on to, it's like how a lot of the Devin fans, how they did the Great Migration. Like a lot of the Devin fans, they're doing this right now because they're jumping from Devin over to either they're picking sides with Keyshawn or Shakur. They're doing that, right? That's in part, that's kind of like what's going on right now. People are almost like they on their tippy toes, like they want to like Brian Norman, but the way boxing talk is, you can't just give Brian Norman his just due. You can't just give him his credit and tell him that, oh man, that was a stellar performance, man. Hey man, the dude, hey, I'm seeing the progress. Hey, I'm seeing him, he's stepping up. I like the swag. I like the thing. I like the way he carry himself. They can't get over it. They keep trying to blame things on something that his father said when his father just really be talking smack like everybody else. You know what I'm saying? I don't think every now and again, it might get a little too much, but it's nothing like what the Schofield's doing. Nothing like what Bill's doing, in my opinion. But this is what I'm trying to tell you as far as the gaslighting conversation around Brian Norman, right? The first thing they want to do, they want to start attacking how the dude turned down $1.7 million. And this is probably one of the last times I'm going to do this over here. What you have to understand is, let's go back to D block because picture's worth 1,000 words, right? For one, you have to understand the history of Eddie Hearn and how he get down. For two, you got to understand that the guy on the far left, Jerron Boots Ennis, he had the IBF strap. Everybody want to complain and talk about how the IBF strap, how, oh man, they real strict, man. The IBF, they'll do this and do that. You know, they need to stop it, like, because they do have the 10-pound rehydration. What you got to understand is this: the moment that Karan Chukasian put in notice, he put in paperwork, the minute that he put it in and notified him that yes, he will be, looking to exercise his mandatory, and he gave written word to the IBF, they then had 30 days. They had 30 days to decide, blah, blah, this and this and that. The minute he did that, Eddie Hearn and them, they sent out a contract to Conwell. They was in talks. They sent something to Brian Norman. They was in talks. Brian Norman Sr. knew that it was all a farce and that they were going to have to go fight Karen, because Boots was in the IBF. So all of this stuff about how Norman Jr. and them and all the blah, blah, blah about the paperwork and all that, man, that's just a mute talking point, man. It's just something that they refuse to talk about. Why? Because it's more popular to sit up here and talk about how such and such ducked this person. Everybody's not ducking. Everybody's not ducking. So they want to latch on to the fact that the man turned down at 1.7. Right? That's null and void. They both, Eddie Hearn and Brian Norman Sr., they were basically playing chicken with the clout, man. Who can get the most clout off of that? Because either way, the fight wasn't going to happen. Boots was going to fight Karen. So that has nothing to do with all these managers trying to say how Brian Norman should have went ahead, and what if he don't get the 1.7. All these people really act like they really give a fuck about what Brian Norman getting paid when they don't. I believe this is the message that I'm getting from them. The message I'm getting from them is that he's his own guy. He's going to make moves based on his own career, and don't shit move around him but the things that's going to benefit him in his career. And as a champion, we don't always get to hear their point of view, but lately they've been really transparent. And if you're not trying to be biased, if you don't like this one over that one, if you're not like a name brand whore or whatever you are, then you'll understand that the Normans understand, especially with his father being in the business, they kind of understand how boxing to go. Because he was not supposed to be, they brought him in there for Santillan to win, to make Santillan look good. He was the opponent. He just happened to go into his backyard and break Buddy down. Then they got some clout off of the whole boot situation. Eddie Hearn them got a little clout off of that, right? But it's funny how when you talk about the whole Boots and Brian Norman situation, everybody point out how, oh man, well, Brian Norman, how could they do this and this and that for the 1.7 if you'll ever get this and this and that? But they don't say shit about Boots and the Virgil situation. That's like, oh man, that's different. Okay, all right. Whatever. I don't think it's really anybody's business. I think that it's really about how the Normans and them want to move. And I believe that they look at it like, look, we got a strap. He got a strap. They needed a title defense. They got a title defense. They now have all the pressure. It's just like tennis. They smack the tennis ball over this net over to that side. Brian Norman smacked that motherfucker out the park like a home run. Now he has the privilege to sit back and watch Amantis Stanionis and Boots go at it. And in the meantime, while he's doing that, now the pressure is on Amantis Stanionis and Boots to handle what they have going on. April 12th, Atlantic City. That's what they got to do. So I think that he's gonna be looking for an opponent. We seen we seen the conversation with Jin Sasaki coming up on him or whatever. I know AC he's high on Jin Sasaki or whatever. I think Brian Norman gonna knock him the fuck out too. And I think the dude is a problem. I think he's a problem, man. I think that the more and more he's young, and it's still some wrinkles there. You know, people's, oh man, did you see him? He got clipped with the left hook. He got hit with a devastating body shot last night, and he maintained his poker face. And he had that thing to where, like, for a moment, I'm sitting there looking at the fight, and I was on the edge of my seat for a second. I'm like, oh man, I'm like, is this going? What's going on? Is this gonna be happening all night? Like, is what's going on? Like, and he slowly figured them out. He made some subtle adjustments, and then he showed that his power is a little different, man. His power is a little different, man. He's a brutal dude to where if he catch you clean and flush, it might be a wrap. So I think that right now they in a sense they kind of in the driver's seat. If you're not a fanager and you're not one of them people that's gonna be trying to talk about what the Normans getting paid and why they should do this and all the dumb shit that people try to move the conversation to, and you just want to look at who's who in the division, I think the dude is a problem. Right? And I think Eddie was very clever in doing what he did as far as that bullshit. Because I said, listen, it was a wrap once Cameron decided he was going to pursue his mandatory, and they put in paperwork. They had time. They had like 30 days. We talk about this all the time before they had to do something to actually let the IBF know that this is what we're trying to do and this and this and that. They didn't do that. So any negotiating they did with Conwell, any negotiating they did with Brian Norman, that shit was a farce. It didn't matter. He was gonna fight Cameron. So you can try to play politics with and try to ruin Charles Conwell's reputation and try to ruin Brian Norman and them reputation, but it was a wrap because Boots was gonna fight Cameron. I don't know why people are still talking about this, even though they love to talk about all the rules of the IBF and the politics around that, but they fail to mention that. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say that I think Brian Norman is a problem. We all know Boots is a problem. Me personally, I just want to see Boots fight somebody where he don't have all the advantages, right? So, it was kind of wild that with Brian Norman actually having the WBO, Teofimo Lopez didn't have to do all that talking. He didn't have to do all that talking. He didn't have to do all that crazy stuff and this and this and that. And they had plans, and I think Teofimo saw Brian Norman up there and was like, nah, super high risk, and for Teofimo Lopez, super low reward. You know what I'm saying? I think that Teofimo made a business decision, and he said, hey, I'm going to go ahead and play around in the sand down here with these guys for a little while longer, and when I go up, I'm gonna fuck around and get Boots. To where like he see that all like it's a victory for somebody like the way Karan didn't made Boots not look so good. I'm thinking Tio's thinking in his mind that if I go up there with Boots, one, it's a name, you know, we probably gonna sell some tickets, and all I gotta do is kind of make him not look so good and get the quote unquote moral victory. That's my piece on them. I think Brian Norman, man, he give me throwback Spence vibes, man. He give me that throwback energy where it's just like, you know, country dude from the South, got his little swag, straight shooter. You know what I'm saying? Gonna tell you straight down the middle how it is. Ain't gonna pull no cut cards. You know what I'm saying? And just gonna be transparent with you. Those are the vibes that I get from him, man. So I'm excited about it. And like Koki said, man, the dude is the real deal, man. I think he is, man. I think he the real deal. Man. Moving on to El Cameroon. William Zepeda. I don't know what happened in that fight, but it looked like something happened with Tevin Farmer in the first round where he hurt his wrist or his hand. I don't know if it was his shoulder. I don't know what it was, man, but it looked like William Zepeda was going to stop Tevin Farmer in like the second, third round at first, and somehow, some way, Tevin Farmer clinched and pivoted. And man, you talking about being off the back foot. The man lived off the back foot all night. And then in the last round, in the 12th round, Tevin Farmer actually hit Zepeda so hard, he stunned him for a second. He just ain't have no gas to pounce on him. I said, man, this dude might have performed. When I seen that, because I started getting up and going to the kitchen and started straightening out some things and cleaning off the counter or whatever. And my baby was like, it's still going on the fight. I said, man, yeah. I was like, but man, I don't know what's going on with Tevin, man. He's not fighting right. You could tell something wrong with him. But he was able to survive. And he almost did that rope-a-dope, man, in the 12th round, man. He just didn't have no gas left in the tank. And maybe that was the one shot where he said, fuck it, I'm going to risk it. And he might have did a little bit more damage to whatever it was that was hurting him. And he either knew he couldn't throw that hand again, or he just was zapped out of gas and could not pounce on the opportunity when he actually froze Zepeda. That would have been one of the most triumphant comeback, stress, damaging things that could have ever happened to William Zepeda had he been able to do that in the 12th round with Tevin Farmer did. But it's no question about heart. It's no question about cojones. And it's no question that Zepeda he's these tests, these 22 rounds that he went with Tevin Farmer, 22 rounds. He might not look all neat and clean and pristine, but he's going to learn from that. He's going to learn from having gone through that with Tevin Farmer, having that experience. Those 22 rounds that he went with Tevin Farmer is going to pay off, man. He's going to have equity in those rounds. And while a lot of people are sitting up there talking about Shakur this and why that and this and this and that, I think that it comes back to what I was saying before, and how when they first started talking about Shakur and Zepeda, I said, I don't know how y'all letting them sell y'all a dream, because Zepeda is with Oscar De La Hoya. Zepeda is under Oscar De La Hoya. You cannot guarantee shit with somebody that's on a whole other, like he's in a whole different promotional company. Well, they both the zone fight. Okay, so what? So what? When it first came out and Shakur and them went with that plan, oh, it's going to be Zepeda, it's going to be, I'm like, I've never seen a champion pretty much chase their mandatory like that. Like, it shouldn't be backwards. It should be the other way around. But y'all got baited in to where William Zepeda gets all this free publicity about Shakur Stevenson when he already got the interim. He already got it. And my question to anybody listening, can you help me out? Please put this in the chat. Because whenever it comes to Tank, they always say, well, Tank the A side, he got to send the contract. Shakur is the A side. Shakur is the A side. When is he going to send this man a contract? Or it don't work like that. That's just the rule that apply to Tank. Somebody answer me that. Somebody answer me that. Because I think that it was in Oscar, for me, I think Oscar was going to play that game and play that game and play that game. And he was going to wait and see what was going to go on with that IBF strap. He was going to wait and see what was going to go on with the IBF. And he was going to try to maneuver William Zepeda. But he got him all the way to where that was a 12-rounder. He's defending the interim strap. They introduced that man as a champion. So they moving him like a champion. He was down in Cancun selling the crowd and getting tickets and making money or whatever. Because remember, he could do the same thing with Jose Ramirez in his backyard, selling tickets and making money and doing all that off of that audience that they have. And Jose Ramirez made a great living off of doing that. The ball is actually in Shakur Stevenson's court, because aside from him and Tank, Shakur's the A side to everybody. When is the pressure ever going to be, or the question ever going to be, when is Shakur going to send this guy a contract? When is Shakur going to do something, or when is he going to have Turkey or whoever, whatever, Turkey or Eddie or whoever it is that's representing Shakur, whatever they got going on, when are they going to send an offer like they be saying Tank got to do to get William Zepeda? Because right now, I think Oscar kind of played everybody. He played him with Schofield. He built up his Schofield's brand and his likeness and his image and all this stuff, even though he didn't build it up to me, because I'm off of the Schofields until they fight again and they get back in the ring. I don't like what happened. I don't like the fact that we really don't have no explanation, and it looked like a glorified clout chase. You know what I'm saying? I was talking to my old head today, and he said, man, I was really looking forward to that fight. He shook his head. As soon as I brought up Schofield, he shook his head. He said, nah, man. He said, man, that was a fight that a lot of people were looking forward to. He's like, man, nah, man, we got to see them do something. I was like, yeah, man, that's how I feel. So I think Oscar kind of played everybody. And people was wondering why William Zepeda didn't say nothing about Shakur. Why you think he ain't say nothing about Shakur? Because in my heart of hearts, man, like that's Eddie and them, and they using this promotional stuff or whatever. We got played. We got played by Shakur and them, and we got played by Oscar and them. Even though Oscar, he just managing the company, and he happened to get his guy who was a mandatory up to an interim title. You know what I'm saying? But every time somebody say something, it's like, oh man, when's your court? But in one breath they say the man hands hurt. When it come down the tank, he gotta let his hands heal. But in another breath, it's like, oh, Zepeda ducking him. But in another breath, oh, he want to fight Lamont Roach. I think we need answers. But I want y'all to peep something. This is what I want y'all to peep. I want y'all to peep how Keyshawn is with Top Rank. He's allegedly fighting or going back and forth with somebody that's with PBC and Edwin De Los Santos. Right? Shakur, he's trying to get a Lamont Roach, supposedly, allegedly. They in talks or agreed or whatever, and they don't want Tank to fight. They don't want Tank to rematch Lamont Roach and all this. And Keyshawn suggesting this, that, oh, you fight him and I'll fight this one and then we'll meet up. All this dumb shit that don't make no sense to me, because, I mean, it's going to be up to Tank. But they don't want him to fight Loma. They don't want Tank to fight Loma. And a lot of people saying Tank shouldn't rematch Lamont Roach. I don't understand boxing. I don't understand. Because right away they were saying Tank needed to rematch Roach. That's what I was saying. He need to go ahead and get that over with. Like, finish business. Do your Floyd thing, to where if the people thought it was controversy, or if you had enough people saying you lost, Floyd would go get that shit right back and show that it's levels. Right? That's my take. I also saw, because I asked my old head, I said, listen, if you were Tank, would you fight Loma if he come back, or would you rematch Roach? My old head said, listen, man, I would do whatever was best for my business. And I said, okay. He said, whichever one is best for the business, whichever one, probably the one that would make the most money if I was him at this point. He said, because Tank seemed like he don't want to be in the game that long. I said, well, if you talking about money and the money fight, it's probably going to be Loma. But guess what? Bob Arum has already came out and made an excuse. Bob Arum is talking about, well, if his back is healed, we got to still see the results of what's going on with Loma in his back. I said, oh, man, they already got a baked-in excuse, man. It's almost like Tank can't win for shit. He can't win no way around the board. Everybody get to say his name, talk shit about him, use his name for publicity. They get to say he ain't this, he ain't that. Meanwhile, everybody, including the pound for pound #1 guy. Every time, every interview, he using his name. He bringing him up. Oh, he need to fight him on undercard. He just, man, just every interview. Every interview they make it about Tank. So he can't get credit for being the face of boxing. They say he ain't shit. They say he ain't fought nobody. Now he got a baked-in excuse with Loma. So if he go fight Loma, then he gonna be ducking Roach. If he rematch Roach, then he ducking Loma. Or he ducking Shakur. To go and say my hands hurt when it come to Tank, and you know, but I could fight Lamont Roach. It's just funny to me, man, these conversations that we be having. It just depends on who's, you know what I'm saying, who you talking to. As to whether or not it makes sense. None of it makes sense to me. I just know that everybody wanted. Well, they saying Loma too old now. I don't know, but I mean, Loma just came. He came out his last fight. To my memory, didn't he come out and stop Kambosos? When did he hurt his back? When did he hurt his back? I don't know, man. I don't know, but hey, Bob coming out talking about he's ready to work with PVC and in regards to trying to block the turkey and all this. I'm like, man, listen. This was already public information that they could work together on Prime. It's been almost about 2 years now when Bob first said it, but people were too busy hating on the PBC to acknowledge it. Why? Why do you say that, Mike? If you listen, I'm going to tell you, right? In a way, was already fighting with Prime. You know, they had a deal. In a way, and Bob, they had a deal. So if it was over there in Japan, that's all Norway anyway, or whatever. They just had a deal with Prime. The way people were watching it with Prime, and Bob had already came out and said, this is what he said. I'll tell you which interview to go look up. It's been at least a year and a half, almost 2 years now. He said, it can work. I believe that it can work. He said, because he said, Norway anyway already done business with, he's already shown on Prime. He said, now I think, because they was asking him, did he think that PBC and them would be successful working with Prime? And this was Bob's exact answer. He said, yes. He said, I think they could be very successful. He said they just can't do all of the fights on pay-per-view. He said every fight couldn't be pay-per-view. This was a year and a half ago, almost 2 years now when he said it. But people were too busy shitting on PBC. They're trying to say, oh, they out of business. They're going to fail with Prime. They're going to do this. It's like, no, Bob had already made it clear that it could be successful working with Prime as long as all of the fights were not pay-per-view. And they're getting around to it to where they are not pay-per-view. It's just people too busy hating and making excuses for this fighter and not liking that fighter because they're affiliated with this to sit back and enjoy the fights that are not pay-per-view. So now all of a sudden, so this leads me to this question. Isn't it almost like, I mean, I'm not throwing no darts, but isn't it almost like an admission of guilt? If Bob is saying, oh, now to combat the efforts of Turkey, we're now willing to work with the PBC? You don't say, Bob. So are you saying that prior to Turkey, there was an issue with you all working with the PBC? Or would I be inferring too much? Would I be extrapolating too much? Because we already know, man, people use their promotional side of the street, you know what I'm saying, whatever, man, all day, every day. But I just find it odd. That all of these dudes are calling out somebody from a different promotional company or a different side of the street now, and nobody says nothing. Nobody says nothing. The only people that get the negative connotation is the PBC for in-house fights. I just find that so ironic to me. Because right now, if you think about it, Eddie Hearn had Conor Benn and Boots. Right? Now, Boots is finally getting ready to unify. So he's justified in that. But you got Conor Benn getting ready to go up and get dusted off by Eubank. And it's probably going to be similar to what Triple G did to Kell Brook, even though neither one of them are comparable to either one of the dudes that I named before, Triple G and Kell Brook. Neither one of them are comparable to either one of them fighters. But that's what's about to happen. And you're going to have a lost opportunity if something malicious happens to Conor Benn when you could have made Boots versus Conor Benn. You could have made Boots. You could have made Conor Benn versus Blair Cobb. But you got Andy Cruz and you got Shakur Stevenson. But you fixated on this man going to fight William Zepeda, Lamont Roach, and damn near anybody but Tank. Because remember, when it come down to Tank, his hands need to heal. But he could fight anybody else. Well, I mean, Andy Cruz is right there. If Keyshawn ain't going to get that work, you got Andy Cruz and Shakur Stevenson. I'm not understanding, but when the answers be right in front of your face. For boxers, for all these quote-unquote boxing purists, or all the ones who I just love the boxing and pure. I'm always going to take the boxer over the punch. You got two pure boxers. Two pure boxers right there. Same side of the street, same label, same division. One won the gold, one won the silver. But Keyshawn can go fight De Los Santos and avenge Bro's work, but Shakur can't fight Andy Cruz? Food for thought. Food for thought, y'all. I've been put the link out there, man. I'm pretty much done. I'm done with my epilogue, man, and all the things I had to say, man. I just find it crazy that with all of the good things, all of the good fights, man, with Brian putting on the example, the only thing he's known for now is not fighting Boots. Even though he got a title defense, he stopped this man. He had a good showing, a good outing. It was crowd pleasing performance. Shu-Shu, he went out, he stopped his guy, and all he get is, I can't believe he ain't called out Rafael Espinosa. And nobody's talking about Emiliano Vargas, El General, and what he got going on and how good he looked in his performance. But everybody want to talk about politics and boxing today. And everybody's still talking about Bud. And the crazy thing is, people are entertaining what Bud said about Earl. About Earl. They are entertaining that, which I have a checkmate for that conversation, man. I don't know why you would spend hours on end talking about that, where Bud is getting put in the Hall of Fame because of his accolades, right? But I asked the whole panel, I asked the whole group of people, said, you name me one fight where Bud was able to fight one time and get 3 belts. And somebody responded, oh, well, Leonard Bundu but that was 2 belts. I said, okay, so that's not a legitimate answer. You can't tell me one time when he was able to fight one person and get 3 belts. Because y'all love to praise Bud because of accolades. And in that one fight, he got the most accolades that you can get, aside from what Devin Haney did. We had where he had the belt, when Loma had the franchise belt, and he got the WBC belt. When he got that in his hand, he fought one time and got all the belts. Bud happened to go get the WBO from Horn and then fought Earl for the rest of the belts. Devin is the only one that has outdone Bud in one fight and Devin is the only one who has gotten more accolades in one fight than Bud. And the fight that I'm talking about that Bud got the most accolades was the fight with Earl Spence. And people sit around and conversate about it and talk about how Earl Spence ain't shit. But yeah, he got the most accolades in one fight from him. But they praise Bud because of accolades. I'm like, man, I ain't the brightest man in the world, but that sounds dumb as hell to try to defend that. To try to even debate or question or whatever. It's like, man, you just shoot yourself in the foot. It's just not my kind of party. It's not my cup of tea. But then the man comes out and says and suggests that Tank Davis should fight Shakur Stevenson on his undercard. And what's so funny about that is that there is no confirmation that Bud is actually fighting Canelo. None. Everybody talking about it and this and that. There is absolutely no confirmation that they're actually going to fight. So what undercard are you talking about? We don't even know if they're going to fight. And then people said Shakur Stevenson was dumb as hell. They were saying that Shakur Stevenson was dumb as hell for saying, nah, big bro, me and Tank, our fight probably bigger than y'all's, or respectfully. I mean, I don't know as far as how people are perceiving it. Because I remember when Bud was saying, it's weight classes for a reason, and I ain't going up there. I mean, I would love to go back and pull all these content creators, all the ones that's like, yeah, man, Bud versus. I would love to go back. And I've already did. I've already seen who all these content creators who just flip-flop, because when Bud was saying it's weight classes for a reason, like, nah, I ain't gonna fight Canelo. It's weight classes for a reason. You have content out there. Well, you was agreeing with him then, and now since he changed his mind, y'all changed his mind. But you have to gaslight supporters of Errol Spence by calling them all kind of homophobic slurs and shit. Gaslighting. Almontes. Salute Almontes. Norman versus Sasaki in Japan. Late summer. I like it. I like the fact, hey, B Norm gotta make his own legacy. He can't live in another man's shadow, man. Cause like I said earlier, I like that fight, man. I think Brian Norman gonna beat the shit out of Jin Sasaki, but it'll be another great name on his resume, another legacy defining type fight. He's probably definitely gonna get the bag. I'm for it. And Brian Norman, he had to grow on me, man. I wasn't always high on Brian Norman. I wasn't. But he grew on me, and I think they have a clear understanding. I think they have a good solid foundation, man. You went to somebody's backyard. You beat somebody for the strap. You went you was on the undercard of Michaela and Sandy Ryan too. You defended against it. You made the dude, in essence, you made a dude quit. Jin Sasaki came to your fight. He gave you a letter. He said, listen, I respect you as a champion. I would love for you to come to Japan, blah, blah, this and that. And you're going to get him on your resume right away, get you another bag, have another title defense, get more fans from Japan because Japan is on fire right now. I like it. So salute for that information, Almontes. I appreciate that. Hopefully it comes to fruition. But like I said, that's everything I had, man. I just wanted to catch up on some things, man, and highlight the hypocrisy in this talk, man. It's just some crazy shit going on YouTube where it's still a lot of tribalism. There's a lot of people that no matter what Bud, Keyshawn, and Shakur say, they're gonna ride with it. They don't have nothing critical to say. They're not gonna oppose anything. They're not gonna question or doubt anything. And Bud, they are not going to say anything about some of the crazy shit Bud been saying lately, man. But to each his own, man. To each his own, man. I just have a brain. I tend to like to use it, especially when I'm conversing or conversating and giving my boxing opinion. And that's it. If you listening to this on the playback, holler at me. Talk to me. I talk back. And don't forget to support the channel, man. If you haven't hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you have not subscribed, support the Z channel. But that's all I really had tonight. But salute to Koki, his twin. Bodywork, salute to his twin. Salute to Crush. Salute to DSTN3. Salute to Cookie Monster, who came in the building, man. I appreciate all the support. I like to keep these about an hour and 24 minutes. I thought my man was gonna come on here and jump on and cook with me, but I don't know what's going on tonight. But that's all I really had, man. I got content coming, man, because there's some good things happening in the sport, man. Don't let the conversation persuade or dissuade you into thinking that everything's going wrong in boxing. No, it's a lot of things that's going right with boxing. We just tend to focus on everything that's going wrong. But this is that fruits and veggies, not that Reggie, that fact-based content, not opinion-based. So I hope everybody have a good week. I hope everybody have a safe week. And until the next time, thanks for choosing Bodywork Boxing. But we don't take things for face value. We do that body work.
He didn't want to box. He wanted to actually prove that he could punch with you. He was like, what the fuck is this nigga, right? Oh, okay, you want to go to sleep. You tired.
Welcome to